I still remember the numbers kind of being bandied about and plastered on the television screens and plastered on the front page of The Guardian and all these places where, the COVID deaths and COVID infections, and it was almost like they were beating our brains and terrorizing us with these numbers. And yet all you had to do was look under the surface a bit, and all you had to simply was look at the age group, let alone the comorbidities or anything. And I mean, you don't need an engineering degree from MIT to be able to say, wait a second, these people are all in their 80s and they're dying. They're not in their 60s or said they're in their 80s. And, it doesn't take much, and part of me was thinking, man, like this seems so obvious just to show the data behind the trends. And yet we were all kind of beat over the head and I guess terrorized with these numbers. And that got this baseline behavior that maybe came from like the amygdala. I don't know. I'm guessing you saw something similar happening at the time. Were you incredulous this was happening or not? I'm just wondering how you felt.
I was absolutely stunned, Brian. I mean, I still can't. I mean, like processing my emotions about what happened in March and April 2020. I mean, looking back, I thought at the time I was just a scientist. I'd never been on a podcast. I think I wrote one op-ed in March of 2020 for the first time in my life and got myself, death, saying that we don't know how deadly disease, and I got myself death threats and nonsense. And so I was like, this was a huge departure from my own professional life. Because then, I had people in my own profession, like my friends, telling me I didn't know how to divide because I did a study trying to measure how many people had already had COVID in April of 2020. But then to watch people embrace the lockdowns as if they were the moral thing to do. My friends, many of whom I love, they lost their minds on this. They lost their morals because I think the central thing was fear. People were so scared of their own mortality, even professionals whose job it is to not let things like that affect their thinking, And it was so obvious that was the case. And then built around that was this like justification for to try to protect you from like thinking that they were scared, making decisions out of fear. Right? They'd say things like, well, you can't talk about economics, it's immoral. Well, it was exactly an inversion. And the inversion was that if you didn't think about what the consequences of the economic damage you're causing were, that was immoral. If you didn't think about cancer, like stopping cancer screening for years, and that means there's going to be a wave of women dying of late stage breast cancer a year hence or 2 years hence that should have been caught early in 2020. If you don't think about that, that's immoral. Right? There's not a question of like this is a bad infectious disease, right? It's unfortunate fact about the way that we're human and we're subject to these kinds of things. I actually think it was probably lab-leak, but maybe that's another topic. But in any case, what in 2020 what it was a very unfortunate fact, and we didn't need to restructure all of human society in a futile bid to get this disease to go away, when in fact doing that was immoral. But that immorality of that decision we suppressed because of our fear. I think that's the central driving thing. That was true for basically every single person in public health who's giving advice to governments everywhere.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast. It's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true. And you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, it's Brian Rose, founder of the DeFi Academy.
I've told you, my 4-week crypto bootcamp is amazing, but don't take my word for it. This is what my students are saying.
The DeFi Academy was an amazing experience for me. It took me totally out of my comfort zone.
In this course, I was challenged, I was held accountable, and pushed to do things that honestly weren't always easy.
It's been phenomenal, and I can't believe we're already up on our 4 weeks. It has flown by.
Going through this DeFi accelerator by far was one of the best courses I've taken.
You do this course, you really get into the nitty-gritty of the activities that will make you comfortable with decentralized finance.
Thank you so much to Brian and everyone at London Real and the DeFi Academy for even putting together an amazing course like this.
Anybody else that wants to do it, please sign up. It is well worth the money.